the third annual hip hop cultural event here at the Delaware Art Museum. Great presentation. I like the changes that they did this year. They had DMC from Run-DMC. He was connecting the culture, his experience, and very inspiring talk. They also had a new exhibit that was based on culture, and that was really good. They actually just opened up. I believe the opening night was last night, so they just opened up. It's going until, I believe, March of next year. But it's a really good walkthrough how Black people were portrayed in media and print throughout the years, and then it goes into an inspiring one. So it was really a good presentation. Another great job, another great day here at the Delaware Art Museum. They always have so many different cultural events here where it's not just a museum just to look at artwork, but it embraces the culture, all cultures, and all communities. So thanks for watching this video. Do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Helps me to get access to different things. And if you know any other events happening in the area, Philly, Delaware, William, hit me up. I'll try to go check it out.
So what we're gonna do, we know we got people coming a little late, it's an early Saturday morning. We're gonna get this program started because we have an action-packed day for you at the third annual Hip Hop Cultural Summit. Give it up if you came to celebrate hip hop today at the Delaware Art Museum. So my name is Shaq, AKA Radio Shack for everybody that follows on social media. Really quick before I bring up Iz Valeto, who is the cultural program director here at Delaware Art Museum. I'll give you a brief background of who I am. I'm a proud Delaware State University alumnus. Originally from the Bronx, New York. And right now I want to bring up my man, the cultural director for Delaware Art Museum, Iz Valeto. Where you at, Iz? Come out, bro. Yeah, he came out the back. That's how we do it.
All right. Peace to all the beautiful, loving people here today. Peace. And thank you for even taking the time, to learn, and to educate, and to be empowered. But before we go any forward, we got to pay our respects. Peace and respect to all the nations that are here today on Lenni Lenape territory. As we pay our respects to the ancestors who walked before us, and pay respect to those who are with us today and tomorrow. As Lenni means genuine, pure, original, Lenape, grandfather tribe. We give thanks to Father Sky and Mother Earth. We give thanks to the moon and the sun. We give thanks to the universe for letting us be here in the present. I am Brother Iz of the Quechua Native tribe and descendant of the Inca Empire nation of Peru. Paz y respeto a todas las naciones que están aquí hoy. En territorio de Napi, mientras rendimos homenaje a los ancestros que caminaron antes y que nosotros que rendimos respeto a aquellos que están con nosotros hoy y mañana, como Lenni significa genio puro, original. Tribu, abuelo, Lenape, damos gracias al Padre Cielo y la Madre Tierra, Pachamama. Damos gracias a la luna y al sol. Damos gracias al universo para permitirnos estar aquí y presente. Yo soy el hermano Iz de la tribu indígena Quechua y descendant de la Inca Nación de Perú. Thank you for all, like I said, for being present. I want to also remind everybody we're here out of love and respect, and we're here to pay all homage to all that we do. My brother, Radio Shack, if you mind coming back up to the stage as we introduce the next panel, which is extremely important with Dr. Grouchy Greg and our good sister. And I want to make sure that everybody remembers this is informative, this is love, tell your peoples that we're here.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna start off our first panel, which is gonna be on Rosedale Beach. And that's gonna be with Mr. Grouchy Greg, as well as Tamara Burks. Tamara Burks, there you go. So they don't even need chairs. They're gonna stand up and keep this energy going. So give it up for Grouchy Greg and Tamara Burks, please. What's up, yo? Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out today and supporting the 3rd annual Hip Hop Cultural Summit. I can't express in words how much it means for you all to be supporting this. This is your event, so I hope everybody has a really good day. So I'm Dr. Grouchy Greg, founder of allhiphop.com and one of the co-founders of this event, the Hip Hop Cultural Summit. And we're gonna talk about the hidden history of an area in Delaware called Rosedale Beach. And to do that, I have my wonderful colleague, Ms. Tamara Burks, who's a historian from the state of Delaware.
Hello everybody, so glad to see you all here on your Saturday. You can do anything else. This is an image of me living in Manchester Square apartments here in Delaware, and really hip hop really kind of raised me from a little girl growing up in the projects, going through Reaganomics, drugs, violence, and all that. And then later on, I was able to use that. They became our preachers, teachers, and our counselors, and I was able to use that to actually, eventually, when I went to Delaware State University, I am an alumni of Delaware State University also, I interviewed Guru from Gangstar, Chuck D from Public Enemy, and I was the editor for the newspaper, so I got a chance to do that behind the scenes. I also interviewed Big Daddy Kane, Ben Rock from Naughty by Nature. So those experiences really, really made me and helped me to shape, what I was going to be doing in life. This is an image of me in the newspaper. I started kind of radical with my writing. So the newspaper interviewed me about race relations in Delaware. I had a lot to say to them. This is an interview. This is me working actually I was in New York City, director of youth organized television. We were in Washington, D.C. doing an interview about domestic violence. This is an image of me working as a historical researcher in New York City. And you can see the Twin Towers behind me. This is about 2 years before 9/11, and yes, I was working at the World Trade Center, at 6 World Trade Center in the Federal Building. I was on my way to work, and my daughter, I'm here today to talk to you, so give it up for her.
The gentleman that you met while you were working at the
The
church.
gentleman here in the top, this is Dr. Michael Blakey. He was actually the scientific director from Howard University, and he was really amazing because he did a lot of research actually about Delaware. And I didn't realize that he was from Delaware. So one day we got talking, and he said, well, I know about the history of the Manny Cooks there in Delaware, so he did a lot of research about them. So that kind of gave me a good background. And in the bottom there's an image of me with my ID, you can't really see very well. Then after 9/11, both my husband and I worked at the World Trade Center. We lost our job at the same time. And I became a historical researcher for Delaware State Museums and the Johnson Control Museum. I don't know if you're all familiar with John Elderly Johnson. He actually was a little boy who grew up in Dover, and he was told that he was too stupid to go to college, but actually he laid the foundation for the music industry. So Delaware has a really big presence.
And for anybody that's interested, they're up there actually showcasing their machines. The Johnson Victrola, representatives from the Johnson Victrola Museum are here today. And last year we did a whole panel on the birth of the music industry and how Delaware played a role in it. So, anything else you want to say?
Well, Elderly Johnson, he became a multi-millionaire. He sold his business for about $29 million before the stock market crashed in 1929. But he interviewed many African-American artists, the ones that you saw, that Jelly Roll Morton, Fastball, anybody who's anybody.
So now what we're looking at is an article from the News Journal in 1908. And what this is showing is the tension that existed between black people and white people. Black people simply wanted to go to the beach, white people didn't want them there. So the beaches were segregated. And this became such an issue in terms of tension within the community that the state felt there were going to be riots. So this is also from 1908. And you can see that the state sent in the militia to keep blacks off the beach. And this is what's crazy. It was at the penalty of death if they didn't leave the beach. So to prevent an outbreak at any cost, even if it was necessary to shoot to kill, and that evidently awed the Negroes. So as a result, Black people here in the state and around the country started, going to their own beaches that were segregated, that they were allowed to congregate at. So there were certain days that Blacks were allowed on the beach. In Rehoboth Beach, there was an area called Crow's Nest, and a crow is a derogatory term for a Black person, just so you know. But there were certain days and certain times. So we had Rosedale Beach here in Delaware, Johnny Walker Beach in Lewis, obviously Rosedale Beach, and we just found out about another one up in Newcastle called Demers Beach. So these are where Black people would congregate and be able to enjoy the beach during segregation. Anything else?
Yeah, well, they created their own, they didn't get upset because they couldn't go, they just created their own experiences.
Bruce's Beach,
Bruce's
American
Beach,
Beach in California. Bruce's Beach was recently in the news because the people who were the ancestors of Bruce won the land back. But anyway, what are we looking at here?
This is Indian River Bay, historically known as the home of the Nanticoats, also known as the Tidewater people. And their cousins and family members, we talked about earlier, the Lenape people who are the original American communities that lived and still live in parts of East Coast and now what we call Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and other areas. They raised their families here in this beautiful land. They got caught up basically in the art of living, maintaining deep cultural, spiritual, environmental knowledge in these areas for about 10,000 years or so. Now here, they suffered unimaginable horrors, really during the colonial period, but despite that, they were still able to act on their lives, create a culture, build their families, just as they do today. Here's an image of the Nanticoke children in 1915. They adapted, as you can see, to their new normal. So you can imagine going from what you knew to what you had to become, but they still in today, still have overcome a lot and became a strong tribal community from the surrounding mainstream society.
And not only that, but they became, with the land that they got, because they went out and got actual parcels of land that were theirs, but, officially, got deeds to the land.
Correct.
So, all right, so we're looking at Isaac and Sarah Harmon. Can you tell us about Isaac and Sarah?
Well, they were early Nanticoke power couple. Isaac and Sarah amassed a lot of land. Isaac was a farmer by trade. He was a fisherman. He actually became what you might call a banker. He became so rich he was able to give loans to people in the community, So this is very interesting. And they also created this place that later became Rosedale Beach, a place of leisure, a place where you can go. You don't have to worry about someone kicking you out of the area.
So that's what we're talking about here. It was known as Harmon's Park after the family. And what was special about Harmon's Park?
Well, like I said, Harmon's Park is a place where you can come, for activities, leisure. They had voting on the Harmon's Park area. Everything happened. This was the community center, really, for the Nanticoke.
So it was it was an amusement park.
Right.
Okay. So now, what we're looking at here is, a bunch of chicken scratch. Obviously can't tell what it says. So we used AI to transcribe it. And what it is the land deed that the streets sold to Jesse and Jeffrey Voss, who were the owners of Rosedale Beach. And here you can see the transcript. Nelson Street and Grace Street from Baltimore were the ones who owned the land. They paid $800, I think, for it. Yeah, $800, and that was about $25,000 in today's money. So who were the Vosses? This is a picture we brought to life with some AI.
The Vosses were Jesse and Jeffrey Voss. This was a young couple from the Philadelphia area who actually traveled to Rosedale Beach on a vacation. So we already know that it was being used as a resort of itself. And this couple were very good. They eventually, when they came back to Delaware, they eventually purchased the land to build Rosedale Beach, Inc.
Now, Rosedale Beach got its name how?
There was a couple named Dale and Rosetta that actually owned the land originally, one of the couples, and they actually named it after them.
So they combined the name and turned it
Combined
into
names.
Rosedale. Now what we're looking at here is what?
This is the original certificate of incorporation. During the budget cuts, I was working at the museums, and then I worked at the Division of Cultural Affairs, and we found the original historic documents.
Now what we're looking at here is the money that they put up to put up this 32-room hotel. $25,000 in 1937 money is $800,000 in today's money. So this young black couple was well capitalized, considering this is coming right out of the Great Depression.
Right.
What's this?
Yeah, that's important to know. Now, originally they had a hotel there with, small hotel with a bar. Then later on, they built the new Rosedale Beach Hotel. So this is the map showing it on the historic records. And they had a driveway that led to the hotel. So it was actually sitting on the beach, just a beachfront hotel.
So this is what the actual resort looked like in its prime. We took original photos from Rosedale Beach and put some animation on it. And as you can see, it was a beautiful place. This is the front, so the water would have been facing out this way. What are we looking at? What's this?
Well, this is actually one of the cottages. One of the things you can do at Rosedale Beach, you can stay for a week or a weekend, but you can rent a cottage for the weekend. So they have beach homes, trucks and also many couples and family members would come to the beach just to hang out. We had a boardwalk and a beach area, so it was a very nice area.
What was this event here going on? Do you remember?
Well, it's actually a state school. People came that were in a state institution came for the day.
It wasn't.
So here's a look at what the boardwalk looked like going around Rosedale Beach. And as you can see, it wasn't a small boardwalk.
Right, this was a full boardwalk. They had these pavilions where the bands used to actually play, like Duke Ellington would sit out there and they would play music and you could hear it from all around.
So what about this?
So this image shows one of the boats. Now, because that music could be heard all around, there were people that would just drive up on their boat to listen to the music, for free. So it was like a party, a beach party.
It's crazy. So you pull up on your boat, don't pay anything,
Yeah.
dock up.
But it was that loud and that exciting.
Listen to Count Basie or Duke Ellington or whoever. All right, well, real quick, what we're looking at here is the origin of what they call the Chitlin Circuit, right? And that's a derogatory name, but it's a name that stuck. The origin of the Chitlin Circuit name goes back to 1917 to a song by W.C. Handy, who recorded for Victor, called Beale Street Blues. And these two gentlemen, Denver Ferguson and C. Ferguson, were booking agents from Indiana. And in the 30s, they were the first guys to put together a network of theaters, beaches, venues, and resorts and send black people through them. Now, the Chitlin Circuit name, the first reference of it is in a 1963 Billboard article from Lou Rawls, is the one who started using it and bringing it into lexicon. But it didn't really start getting its name in terms of popular usage until none other than Ike Turner mentioned it in an article in 1971. Now what we're looking at here are theaters that were on the Chitlin Circuit. So the Royal, which is in Baltimore, how many of y'all know the song, Gonna Take a Miracle, right? That was the Royalettes from Baltimore. Uptown Theater in Philly, Georgie Woods, the man with the goods. The Regal Theater in Chicago. And the Regal Theater in Chicago is where Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 were discovered. And of course we have the legendary Apollo Theater in New York City. And with the exception of these theaters, when black people went to these theaters, they had to sit in the balcony. So what we're looking at here is how many black people were lynched in 1934, right? And this underscores how dangerous it was for black people to travel during this time period. So if we go back a little bit, the automobile was invented in 1909 and it was mass adopted by the 30s. And as a result, the interstate highway system sprung up. And so now for the first time, black people and white people, people in general, didn't have to rely on the train to get around. They could ride in their cars and go places. And this was a very dangerous proposition for black people on the road. So as a result, the Green Book was invented. You wanna?
If you ever heard the music or the movie, The Green Book, well, this is an actual book that was developed by Victor Hugo Green, who was a retired postal worker. And he actually documented many of these places, hotels, restaurants, any place that would have been safe for you to go to in this time. And he put it in a book, and eventually it included all 50 states.
And you can see Rosedale Beach is on it. And so not only could people travel for leisure and be somewhat safe, but entertainers as well could perform at these venues and then also stay there. Now, the Vosses, the couple that owned Rosedale Beach at this time, were very savvy with their marketing. So we told you the name origin of Rosedale Beach, Dale and Rosetta. But according to this advertisement from 1937, the Indians called it Rosedale Beach because of its wide expanse stretched majestically through foliage in which the scent of roses were always present. So, you know, a rather embellished origin of the name, but it just goes to show the Voss is savvy. Here's another ad from 1937, and as you can see, we've got a black woman who looks like she's water skiing, I guess. And
or laying out a towel on the beach.
Laying out a towel on the beach. Oh yeah, I guess maybe that is what she's doing. I thought it was water skiing. But as you can see, Rosedale Beach, they also called it a health resort. So I mean, this is 1937, y'all. And this is an advertisement that really shows how far and wide the Vosses marketed their material. It was in newspapers all around the country. Now, this is Billboard magazine. You want to tell them about that?
Yeah, actually, when my dad used to tell me history about Rosedale Beach and Millsboro, I said, well, Millsboro, I couldn't believe it because Millsboro is so small. But then when I found these advertisements in Billboard magazine, I knew, I said, well, this seals it. This was a big deal, you know, a big deal to find out.
I mean, it was a big deal to be in Billboard. When we were first in Billboard, it was a big deal. That was in the 90s, you know. So here's just some more ads that are coming out, you know, showing in Billboard, showing the talent that was there. Here we have legendary bluesmen, Wynonie Harris and Larry Darnell, who provided Battle of the Blues for Rosedale Beach. And this really goes to show how popular the venue was and would attract thousands of people down to Route 24, right?
That's right. Little Route 24.
Little Route 24. So I put this one in to really showcase the amount of people that would show up to these events. So Fats Waller got into it. Fats Waller was also on Victor. He got into a big dispute with the Vosses over $200, which is about $5,000 in today's money. But anyway, you can see police in Millsboro estimated that 2,000 people were turned away in 1937. I mean, that's a lot. So.
And here we got Count Basie that played at Rosedale Beach. Anybody who was anybody. You got Ray Charles who came there. And this is an advertisement, original advertisement from Ray Charles. So, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, who became the
godmother of rock and roll.
That's right, and she was there. This is the other one.
I included this one because if y'all look, it says the nationally famous Rayovacs. I'm sure nobody in here has ever heard of the Rayovacs, but they have one of my favorite doo-wop songs called Outside of Paradise. So I was shocked that they appeared in Rosedale Beach because they're pretty much nobodies.
Cab Calloway, who actually has a Delaware connection. He performed at Rosedale Beach, but also he came back to
He came back and decided to stay in Delaware. He liked it so much.
Louis Armstrong, Aretha Franklin, Sam Cooke. These are just a sampling of many of the artists that performed there. Little Stevie Wonder came. This is when his beginning of his career. So they were very good at putting out new acts. James Brown. This is interesting. I have a story about James Brown. Actually, my dad told me. He said when he was young, James Brown was on his way to come to Rosedale Beach to perform, and he was late. So the fans were outside waiting. They were kind of in a riot mode. And so it turns out that James Brown actually got stopped by the state police. That's why he was late. But he arrived, and he was able to calm the crowd down and on with the show.
James was good for that, you know, to calm people down. If y'all remember, I think it's a documentary, it's like A Night in Boston or something like that, where
Calm 'em down
after
and work
Martin
'em
Luther
up.
King got shot, James Brown calmed him down. So what was the economic impact of Rosedale Beach to the area?
Huge, huge economic impact. It's really hard to really get my head around it because if you think about going to the Bahamas into the all-inclusive hotels or resorts, this is what this was. So you got all sorts of, they had a beachfront, they had a hotel, they had music. So you have sound people, you have musicians, you have people working in the bar. They had, groups coming in the summertime. Everybody.
That's crazy. To think that this was all down in Millsboro. All right, so now we're going to talk about the decline of Rosedale Beach and what caused it, why isn't it here anymore. So here's a quick timeline we're going to walk through. 1959, legal pressure from the government. 1962, Rosedale Beach is sold to a man named Harry Burton. Ash Wednesday storm in 62 wiped out portions of the resort. 1963, pressures from integration. 1971, more legal issues. 1973, Harry Burton dies, and in 1983, the hotel is sold. So what you're looking at here is an IRS raid of the venue. The government had always been on Rosedale Beach and had always been watching them. They would often send police down. They never found any illegal activity. But here we uncovered a raid on the venue because of a suspected gambling ring that was operating out of the hotel. There's no evidence the owners were involved. But in 1961, 62, Rosedale Beach was auctioned off and sold for $500,000. We did the numbers, that's about $600,000 in today's money. And the venue was sold to a gentleman named Harry Burton. You wanna tell me real quick about Harry Burton?
Well, Harry Burton was actually a board member, so this was a full-fledged corporation. They had board members, and so he actually purchased the hotel from the bosses, in about 1961.
So what we're looking at here is Route 1 going down to Ocean City underwater. That's how bad the storm of 1962 was. It pretty much wiped everything out. So this is another Ash Wednesday storm photo. You can see the devastation it caused. And how did the Ash Wednesday storm impact Rosedale Beach?
Well, it would have took out the Rosedale Beach boardwalk. The beach was gone, so there wasn't really much, as far as the beach to see anymore.
So some legal problems in 1963. In addition to the storm, we had integration. So integration started causing problems because Black people were now no longer, even though desegregation hadn't happened yet, they were starting to be able to patronize some of the institutions and venues that kept them out. And as you can see here, the person who wrote this article, the Rosedale Beach Hotel was operated for many years as a reversal of the present integration agitation. So that's crazy. They came in big cars and spent big money. And this particular event, Mr. Burton had over 3,000 people in attendance. So that's pretty crazy. And also it's interesting to note with integration, Delaware's role in integration. We had Lewis Renning, who argued one of the first successful court cases for desegregation of schools, which led to Brown versus Board and eventually desegregation. So anyway, Harry Burton, 1971, we got some more legal problems. He was arrested for getting into it with some local state cops over the Labor Day weekend, and after Burton was arrested. Now remember, this is the guy who owns Rosedale Beach. He was carrying a gun that he shouldn't have had. And then in 1972, Harry Burton was dead on arrival at Milford Hospital. And this is a real blow to the resort because Harry Burton is a Nanticoke. He's on the board of the Rosedale Beach board, and he also owned the hotel. So his passing really sped up the demise of the hotel. And then this is one that we're still trying to figure a little bit out about. A man by the name of Austin T. Harmon of Millsboro was shot in the chest and hit in the head with a pool cue during an argument. It's not funny, it's crazy actually. But we're trying to figure out if Austin T. Harmon was a member of the Harmon family. It's hard to imagine that he's not, but eventually the land was sold to Gold Point. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, they actually just decided to, or agreed to tear down all the buildings, and the land was sold to Gold Point, which the community is actually still there right now, and they're very interested in the Rosedale Beach story. And what we did was we wanted to find a way to remember Rosedale Beach, so eventually a historic marker went up in 2011, went to the Delaware State Legislature, you know, wrote letters about getting a marker up. They said there's no money, sorry. And they said, okay, we'll put the marker up, but we're gonna put it on the highway, not next to the building. That wouldn't work. So, so eventually we did actually get it put in the proper place, which is actually on the original driveway of the hotel, which you can actually go there today to see it. And it shows images of, or it has its names of Count Basie, James Brown, Cab Calloway, Ray Charles, Ella Fitzgerald, Fats Domino, Stevie Wonder, that performed there. All that's on the marker.
Now, when it comes to preserving our history, there are laws on the books that state that these types of markers have to be put up. You want to tell them about that a little bit?
Right, within the Delaware law, Delaware code, they call it, there's a law that says that they have a mandate to put up historic markers for, you know, important African American sites and sites for people of color, like the Underground Railroad, places like Rosedale Beach.
And,
So I use that.
and with this marker, how did this work with Congress?
Well, you had to go to the legislature, they had to actually vote on the money to get it put up, so it's not just you do research, get them the information. So a lot of money is involved in putting these markers up. And they have to agree, this legislature has to agree to put it up.
That's what I was gonna say, so this is bipartisan?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. So let's talk about what happened with the marker. How many years after you put it up? We'll talk about the drama. The marker. What happened to the marker?
oh,
Yeah, it's all right.
okay. Well, eventually I got a phone call that the marker was missing. This is about 2021, believe it or not, the marker was missing. I didn't believe it, so I had one of my buddies that lived in the area go down there and look at it. Probably people not even aware, it's only happened for about a month. But literally, and this is actual, I guess
Yeah, go ahead.
well, this is the marker. This is actually myself and my husband and my two daughters, one of my daughters out there now, and we were at the marker ceremony.
And how was the marker ceremony attended?
It was very nice. We had Manicoke community come out, and different people in the community came out, which was very interesting. We had a great day.
What about, you had some food?
Oh
story. Come
yeah,
on.
there's a story of me. You know, we weren't very sophisticated in those days, you know. So we were driving a hoopty, we called it, and so a friend of mine, you know, picked us up in the white pickup truck, and we drove down to Rosedale. We were running late, so we drove up to the end of the driveway, and the truck car opened up, and all the food containers fell out on the floor. So we just got up and walked in and just do our ceremony.
All right. Well, let's talk about some drama, because obviously, you know, always has to be some drama with the story. So what happened to the marker?
Well, I gave you a little clue. The marker, as I said, was actually, we don't know if the snow plow took it out, that's what they said, or what happened, but the marker was missing in 2021. A lot of people aren't aware because it only happened for about a month. I think someone took it, you know, on purpose,
I mean, they would have found the marker if a snowplow hit it,
right?
you know? So, I mean, and you know, honestly, I mean, I'm the type of person that would steal a Rosedale Beach marker in my house and, you know, have it on the wall somewhere, but I don't think the average person would. And also around this time, what happened with the Nanticoke?
Well, the Manicoke Museum, their marker was also taken. So if you go online today and look up their marker history, it says marker is reported missing. So I don't know if it's up there or not. Yeah, but around the same time.
Well, you know, we don't go out like that, you know. So what happened with the marker, and how did you, you know, start to get it back?
Well, I got a phone call that they were going to put the marker back up, and they called me and said the marker's up. I didn't believe it, so I had my buddy go down to Millsboro to see if the marker was actually up, and she sent me a text. The marker is back, and that was in 2021. So it's up today.
That's good. All right, well, We are about to wrap it up. I want to just give some closing thoughts before we go into Q&A. I know you're gonna kill me, but it's all good. You know, we have to give it up for Tamara Burks, first of all. It's amazing to think that a venue like this existed here in Delaware. You know what I mean? A lot of times we, as Delawareans, I often hear people say, oh man, Delaware, nothing ever happened from Delaware. Nobody's ever made it out of Delaware. And here, as we showed in year 1, or year 2, we invented the music industry. Not only did we invent the record player, but we invented the concept of a record label and masters and all those things. So it's imperative that, especially in the climate that we're living in with this current administration that's removing markers and erasing history, that we take advantage of the laws that are on the books to make sure our history is preserved.
I'd like to thank you, Grouchy Greg, for inviting me. I really appreciate you being a soldier for history and for culture and music. You know.
Of course.
Wonderful. Give it up for his
We have some time for some Q&As. Please don't be shy. If you have a question, just yell it out. So we're turning it over to you guys. Any questions? Come on, there's got to be at least one.
I got one, Greg.
All right.
A couple of years ago, there was like a lot of publicity around the removal of the whipping stick or the whipping post down in Dover.
Yeah.
Is there a marker or something that's going to be there, or do we just not even expose? Because I mean, that was during slavery right here in Delaware.
That's a good idea. You can do it. You can go right there at the archives is where I got the marker put up. That's a great idea. Because I used to talk about that whipping post that was there.
But
it was there longer than any other place in America.
Was there longer
And
than
a hanging post. They had a hanging post too, right there on the green.
You know, see, this is where I get a little conflicted. You know, like the Dickinson plantation. It's good to go there once, but it's not something that I want to visit all the time. You know what I mean? Whereas something like Rosedale Beach, I mean, I would be there every weekend if there was more than, you know, just a marker there. So Tamara and I are going to start talking to the Gold Point community to see what kind of events we can work on honoring Rosedale Beach. But anyway, any other questions before we get off the stage? Just one question.
Do we know what happened to that whipping post after they removed it?
Don't know. Let's ask the Historical and Cultural Affairs. Do you all know
They're here.
what might have happened to it?
Verdi, Dan, we're calling y'all out.
We have members of Historical and Cultural Affairs too.
What happened to the whipping post?
If we're talking, if we're talking about the one from Sussex County.
Hold on, here, let's keep it up.
Hi, my name is Verdi Lee. I'm the Curator of Education for the Delaware Division of Historical and Cultural Affairs. I spoke last year with about the Eldridge Hughes Johnson, the Johnson Victrola Museum, and as the Curator of Education, I talk a lot about Delaware's history, and it can be really interesting, and it can be horrible, and also very traumatic, and I think it's very important to illuminate that. A few years ago, the Georgetown whipping post was removed, and as well as I believe the one from Kent County. Both of them are in collections. So the state does maintain a collections, and that is the one for Kent County is still there. The one though, there is, and so my boss, Dan Citron, is here. So I just want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. The one that was in Sussex County did go to, down to, oh my gosh, it is Equal Justice Initiative with Brian Stevenson, who is also from Delaware, from Milton. So if you're familiar with Just Mercy, and so there's a sculpture garden that Brian Stevenson opened up. The Sussex County whipping post went down to the Equal Justice Initiative to be part of their exhibits. So we wanted to make sure that that history gets out. So, do you have any questions about that?
Any other questions? I mean, we've got some experts here. What's up?
Hello there, my name is Kamari Shields. I'm from DSU Radio. I'm the station manager.
AKA?
Total Package. For those of you in the room, that might be the first time you hear this name. I promise it won't be the last. My question is, if Rosedale Beach was never shut down, who would you personally like to see him perform there at one time in another?
I'll let you answer that. I'd like to see Nas.
Michael Jackson.
Michael
Because
Jackson.
He was coming up a little bit, not too long after that. Yeah. That would be great. I don't think you've ever performed.
I said Nas.
Back what would have happened is Michael came there like shortly after James Brown, kind of like what they did like years later, like the passing of the torch. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Would have been great. All right, well, the boss is over there telling me we got to get off the stage. So I just want to thank everybody. I hope that you learned something. Go down to Millsboro, Delaware to check out the marker and pay your respects. Do you have the address or like what highway it's on?
It's off of Route 24. Just look up Rosedale Beach. It comes up. Rosedale Beach Hotel. All that information comes up. It's not there anymore, but Rosedale Beach is.
The marker is
The marker, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all. We appreciate you. Make sure you keep out the memories and have a good day. Rest of the day. Give it up again for Dr. Grouchy Greg and Tamara Burke. That was very informative. Just to think that we couldn't even go on the beach, and they were threatening to kill us for going on the beach. But here we are today at the 3rd annual Hip Hop Cultural Summit. Before we go any further, I just have to mention some of our sponsors. Of course, allhiphop.com. Give it up for them. Greg and Chuck Creekman. For those that don't know, allhiphop.com was founded right here in Delaware, and for the past 27 years, it has been a staple of hip-hop media. Before social media, before all these other outlets, allhiphop.com was here, and it's from the state of Delaware. So, also we want to thank Center for Interventional Pain and Spine, the T.D. Charitable Foundation, AEG International, Newcastle County, Delaware, Guerrilla Republic, of course, the National Endowment of the Arts, and the Delaware Division of the Arts. So thank you again for all of our sponsors for making this special day possible.
Good morning. Good morning, brothers.
What's that? Number what?
This is the DJI.
Man, that thing is small.
Yeah, it's good for stuff like this. Yeah, so where y'all from? What miles y'all from?
We're 35.
35 right here.
And it's 102.
Okay.
That's Camden. So
Camden.
Delaware, Camden, and Chester.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to get
We're
it.
on 2800 Washington Street. Why don't you come be my guest tomorrow at 11 o'clock?
Tomorrow I got something planned. I'm going to be up in Philly, but I will keep you on the books.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brothers. Y'all have a blessed day. It's not a real convention without having some wax dealers. Good morning. It's going great. How y'all feeling today?
Awesome.
Yeah. Here we go. Wonderland Records.
Yep.
Keep the wax alive. Keep the wax.
Keep it OG.
Keep your OG. It's still good. It's still good.
Sounds better than everything else.
Oh yeah.
It really does.
It really.
You got a system.
Even if you ain't got a system, it's still warm.
Oh, well,
You know. I make do with the digital stuff, but you know.
You know, there's a sound to it. We're a recording studio as well,
Oh, okay.
and we do most of our drums on tape, original tape.
Okay. Could I?
Yeah. But there's a sound to that digital
Okay. What?
medium.
Let's start over.
All right.
Who are you?
My name is Dimitri Theodoropoulos, and I own Wonderland Records.
Okay.
Yep.
Where are you located? Where's your
In Newark, Delaware, right by the Deer Park Tavern.
Okay.
50 feet on the wrong side of the tracks.
And we were talking about the records because
Yep.
you got a nice selection here. And we were talking about how the sound is different because some people don't know the difference because you've never had the experience.
The sound is absolutely different. There are pieces of music or sonic frequencies that digital cannot capture because it samples stuff, and the sampling rates are limited. So analog is absolutely the best way to go. Yep.
And there's a lot of music. This is why I really love Wax. Is that there's a lot of music that never got released.
Never got
released
Yep.
digital. Arts caught in a bunch of lawyers, right?
Yep.
So you can't even get it if you want it.
Yep, and those records are also not allowed to be repressed because of these whole legal battles going on who owns the rights for stuff. So the only copies are, these single pressing from the early 70s.
And some of that stuff is just like,
Oh, and guys are paying, yeah, it's incredible. And guys are paying like $250, $300 for a record
yeah.
because it's nowhere else.
And that's it's just the thing that just really gets me. I get that with movies.
Yep.
Music. Like I used to be a big collector. I still a little, but with the soundtracks.
Oh yeah.
Because soundtracks, they never released those on.
There's one that they're re-releasing for Record Store Day coming up on Black Friday, and it's the original Rent soundtrack. They only made one pressing of it, and it's insanely expensive online. Like you won't get away with paying less than like $150 for a beat up copy.
And you said there's Record Day?
Record Store Day.
Record Store Day.
Yeah, yep, where they do these special releases of records that haven't been repressed since they came out.
Really?
Yep.
So that's the day to go shop local.
Yep.
Shop the record store.
Absolutely. It's on Black Friday. And there's releases that are 1,000 records are being pressed.
We're going to call it Record Friday.
Yep.
Record Friday.
There you go. It happens every Black Friday.
Awesome. And you
Yep.
said you have a recording studio?
Yeah.
A little plug for that.
A little plug for that. We do 8 tracks reel-to-reel tape or 32 tracks digital, no computers at all. We don't go through any software or anything. It's a digital audio workstation built for us by Korg that goes direct to drive. And it's the closest I've ever found to tape.
Outstanding.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank
And
you
our
so
rates are better than everybody's. You get a 3-hour block for $100.
3 hours for
$100. Yep.
makes me want to get back on the mic.
There you go. There you go.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for
Thank
your
you
time.
so
Have
much.
a great day.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
Disrespect me, rob me. I'm telling everybody I'm ready to die. When I first went to LA, I didn't even know about gangbanging and gang culture. And people like, hey, what's up with your watch? What's up with your watch? You said the N-word, go to the bank and give me this. Now you go to the bank and give me this. So, and you get stereotyped a lot, but hip hop changed my life, that my mother raised me to deal with all types of people. Jewish, Italian, Irish, Latin, Afro-American. So I've made money, I've traveled the world, made history with all types of people that are not even the color of my skin. And hip hop is now so global that you can't judge. And if you don't like something that's out right now, that's your opinion. We all got opinions, like assholes, we all got them, right? So at the end of the day, you love what you love, but continue to be yourself and keep the culture alive without selling your soul and your integrity, and don't judge people by their race, their color, their skin, or their religion. We're all the same, only God could judge. But it changed my life, and I was able to make a lot of money and see different things with all types of people. I'm not ignorant, I'm open-minded, I grow, I change, I elevate. I don't stay in my old ways, even though I'm stubborn. You have to be able to diversify, you have to be able to grow and meet new people every day and network with all types of people. God bless.
Good.
So Natani, you are literally the first indigenous hip hop artist I've ever met. So I think that's amazing. So I want you to talk about, one, how does your culture impact your music and your activism? And also, on the heels of what Steve just said, have you ever had to deal with any type of racism or anything malicious because of the fact that you are indigenous in the hip hop culture?
Yeah, for the first part of your question, thank you. What was the first part of your question?
How does your culture affect like your music and activism?
Yeah, so just real quick, to answer that, when I first started releasing music, it was just because I like doing it and I was releasing it, and I would rap at parties in college, and people liked it. And
you know what I'm saying? They are understanding that they don't need the industry to keep this thing going. They understand that they can go straight to, direct to the consumer